Hello and welcome to Dynamics CRM 2011 Install and Customize Series, Segment 4, Introductions to Customizations. I'm Stephen No, and I'll be your guide for this segment. I'm a consultant and senior trainer specializing in CRM solutions on the Dynamics platform. I've been working with Microsoft Dynamics CRM since version 3 was released. So let's get started. On the agenda today, we'll start off with the purpose of the segment and the goals that you should have, discuss CRM terminology, provide an overview of the CRM security model. We'll spend some time discussing CRM 2011 architecture, and we'll overview the various types of customizations supported and how you get to them. We'll overview some reporting capabilities, discuss solution packaging, and give you some resources to work with moving forward. Your goal for this segment is to understand the basics of CRM architecture, to know CRM terminology and how to apply it, to understand the different customization tools available. You won't need to understand how they work yet. That'll happen in future segments. And finally, want to understand the process for determining when to customize an existing entity or attribute, or when to create a new one, and when to consider extending CRM with programming tools. CRM 2011 Customization Basics. CRM 2011 terminology. The term configuring is used to describe changing and setting values with CRM using the CRM UI. Customizing, on the other hand, is the concept of changing the way forms and views look, altering the database, and the like, but don't involve programming. This is all done using the CRM UI. Extending CRM, on the other hand, is considered to be a programming function and can involve using C#, JScript, Silverlight, XML, XAML, and the like. The CRM metadata model abstracts the actual database so that it's easier to manage. Since we define what fields and files look like to CRM rather than a database, CRM manages that, and therefore we do not make changes to the SQL database ourselves. In CRM, a field or a column is referred to as an attribute. The word entity is used to refer to a file or table. Relationship is the association between two entities in a one-to-many or many-to-many type of configuration. Supported customizations and extensions are generally upgradable from one release of CRM to the next. Typically, this would be any customization that you can do using the UI and using supported extension methods documented in the SDK. Unsupported customizations and extensions may not be upgradable to the next release. Typically, unsupported customizations involve programming or going outside the UI to make changes that are not supported by Microsoft. Unsupported does not mean it will not work. Unsupported just means it may not upgrade, and you should document carefully any unsupported customizations or extensions that you make to CRM. CRM 2011 Security and Permissions. CRM uses Active Directory to identify users on the network. Once identified, there's two tiers of security that CRM uses to enforce security rules. Security roles are used to secure individual entities and records within them. Field security profiles, on the other hand, allow us to further secure sensitive data fields beyond what the security roles provide. CRM 2011 security is pervasive. It's exhibited everywhere. If you follow the rules and don't access the database directly, security filtering is always in place. CRM 2011 Security and Permissions. CRM 2011 Security and Permissions are based upon security roles and field security profiles coupled with users and business units. Security is accessed within the UI by clicking on Settings and Administration and then drilling down into security roles or field security profiles. So let's take a deeper look into security roles and how they affect us when planning customizations. CRM 2011 security roles are job function based. The idea is that we can create a set of permissions that relate effectively to a particular job function and then assign that role to all users in that job function. A security role must be assigned to each active CRM user or they cannot even sign on to CRM in the first place. Roles can be aggregated, which means that basically a user receives the sum of the permissions granted by whatever roles they are assigned. Privileges determine what a user can do, while access levels determine which records are affected by the privilege. This is based upon the business unit a user is assigned to and helps group records logically based upon record ownership and business unit participation. Roles combine privileges with access levels and associate them with individual entities. So this defines the privileges granted for each entity, and the access levels within the privilege determine which records are included in that privilege. The details of this will be covered in the security segment. Here's a quick list of predefined security roles. I've included this in the deck for those of you who have the deck and just wanted to see a list. However, I don't plan on spending time going through them one by one. We'll talk about them in groups instead. The system administrator role is the master role within CRM. It has the highest security permissions available. The role cannot be deleted, modified, or updated, and there must always be one user in CRM who has been assigned the system administrator role. If you attempt to take this role away, the system will prevent it. This role can be assigned to more than one user. It's automatically assigned to whichever user created the organization, either during the creation of the organization or during installation of CRM. It provides full rights to every entity and every attribute in CRM. It also has full access to all system entities. It automatically is granted access to new custom entities as they are created. And again, full access to all data in the system, as well as full access to all customization tasks on anything in CRM. The system customizer role, on the other hand, is really designed to delegate customization capability to someone other than the system administrator. This would follow Microsoft's role of least necessary authority. This eliminates the full access of all data of the admin role, so you can assign this to someone who is not supposed to be able to change data, but is able to do customization tasks. Unlike the system administrator role, this role can be modified. The limited access to data is implemented in a way so that a system customizer can create their own records for testing, but by default do not see any records that they do not own. The system customizer role is also granted full access to any custom entities as they are created. In effect, the limited capabilities in the system customizer role are really related to keeping them away from production data. Manipulating web resources is also not supported. And finally, limiting the ability to change service endpoints. The other default security roles included in the CRM 2011 include the CEO role, who has organization-wide access to all data and the ability to create and maintain processes. However, the CEO doesn't have any access to other customization functions, such as changing forms and views. Vice President level is very similar. The difference is, instead of having access to organization-wide data in all entities, the Vice President level is limited to data related to their business function, as well as the business unit they're in and any business units that they parent. Therefore, they could not see information in a business unit above them. Again, VP level does not have access to customization functions other than processes. Manager level restricts the data access slightly more. Again, it is based upon the business function that the individual is in, sales, marketing, service, or scheduling. But in this case, they're limited to seeing records that are owned only by users within their own business unit. They also have the ability to work with processes and no access to any other customization function. The worker level has the lowest level of access. Typically, the worker level is granted access to data owned by the individual and other data needed for their job function. They have no customization or process privileges. So now let's take a moment and take a closer look at security. CRM 2011 security is stored primarily in security roles and field security profiles. But to understand how this works, we have to drill down a little bit. So let's take a look at security roles. Out of the box, CRM 2011 provides 14 roles, including that of System Administrator, as well as System Customizer. The rest of the roles are typically designed for end users. So let's take a look at the system administrator role very quickly. Notice that the first thing that you'll see is that the system administrator role cannot be modified or updated, as we said earlier. Let's walk through the different tabs on the form to see how it's organized. First of all, we deal with the core records. So CRM security roles are organized by the entity within groups. So the core entities would include account, activity, announcement, and so on. And as we go down, we have a list of the entities going down the left side, whereas on the right side, we have the different privileges that you have with that entity. So in this particular case, we can have individual privileges for create, read, write, delete, append to, assign, and share. This will be covered more in the security topic, but wanted to just go ahead and outline it here. So as we go through the different tabs, we can see that there are different entities that are specific to each area: marketing, sales, service. And then we get into business management, which has a lot more to do with miscellaneous privileges, service management, and then finally customization and what you're allowed to do from a customization standpoint. This form doesn't really illustrate it well, so what we'll do is go ahead and finish the form, and then we'll show you the differences. Also, there's no custom entities defined in the system, so there's no listed here, but for each custom entity that's added to a system, it will be listed on the Custom Entities tab, and the system administrator will have all rights to each added custom entity. Alright, so let's go ahead and go take a look at the System Customizer role. And the first thing that you notice is that there's a lot less green color. Green basically means that you have organizational level access to a particular function for that entity. So for instance, for an activity, the System Customizer is able to create only records which are owned by them, and read, write, delete, append to, and assign only the records that they own. This is what the single piece of apple pie or user yellow slice denotes. This is user owned only. Business unit means that I have that privilege for the entity for any record owned by anyone within my business unit. Parent-child basically denotes that I have access to any records owned within my business unit and any business unit parented by my business unit. And then finally, the full green means that I have this privilege for all records owned by anyone within the organization. Of course, the lowest access would be none, which means if I have none selected for read, as it does for announcements here, then I will not be able to see anything related to announcements anywhere in the CRM interface. Now, let's go ahead and move to customization. You'll notice that I have full access in the System Customizer role to most of the features and functions, and it's organization-wide. And this is because the Customizer role is designed to be delegated. That being said, it is important to understand that the security model is in effect based upon three very important components. First of all, the security roles. But security roles must be assigned to end users, and end users must be assigned to organizations. So the key is to recognize that CRM security is built upon security roles associated with users who are associated with business unit.